Happy Monday, boys and girls. We're continuing on with our Unit 7 ebook, our Unit 7 text. So let's talk about our lesson for today. Let's review. Today, we will focus on identifying the text structure of our story. So let's take a look at the chart below. Many of you should remember this chart because we were using it in class a lot throughout the year. Remember, this is a chart that shows us how different nonfiction texts can be structured. Some of the examples are categories, where it focuses on a certain topic and then subtopics. Description, so maybe a story or a book that describes something specific like an animal. Books or stories that are written in chronological or sequential order, right? From a certain time to a certain time, beginning, middle to end. Some of the text could be structured with a problem and a solution or a question that's then answered, which we focused on some of those when it came to talking about our environment. Cause and effect and compare and contrast. Today, we're specifically going to talk about chronological or sequential order. Now, how do we identify that? Texts are sometimes organized in time order, which is oftentimes called chronological or sequential order. Let's take a look at the first paragraph of our story, The Open Road. Paragraph 1 by Monica Halpern. When I'm looking for a story that's written in chronological order, I'm looking for dates or clues that are telling me when the event is taking place. So let's take a look at paragraph number 1. The first automobiles appeared in the 1890s. I noticed right away in that first paragraph, that first sentence, that it gives me a date in the 1890s. So I'm going to underline that. Now I have to ask myself, what event is taking place in the 1890s? It tells me that the first automobiles appeared, so I'm going to underline that and continue reading. Powered by an electric motor instead of horses, they were called horseless carriages. At that time, there were only 144 miles of paved roads in the nation. When people went for a drive, cars bounced along dirt tracks. Dust blew into their eyes, and mud spluttered their clothes. I'm also going to underline that last part of paragraph 1 because it's telling me what kind of events were taking place during the 1890s when those first automobiles appeared. So I'm going to underline that as well. Before I move on, you can see that chronological is information that is organized in an order of time. Chrono means time, logic means order, and it gave us an example of a common nursery rhyme that we used to hear. Jack and Jill ran up the hill to fetch a pail of water. That's the first thing that happened. Jack fell down and broke his crown. That's the second thing that happened. And Jill came tumbling after. That's the third thing that happened. So I want you to pause the video and I want you to finish reading paragraphs 3 through 6 of The Open Road. See if you can find clues, dates that help you put this story in chronological order. Annotate those clues or dates on a piece of paper and include what events there are. So I want you to pause the video and then come back to us when you're finished reading paragraphs 3 through 6. Okay, so take a look at your directions. You finished reading paragraphs 3 through 6, and here are some of the things that you should have found. So we already identified our first one, signal phrase in the 1890s, and I identified the event and detail about this event. In the 1890s, the first autos appeared. Then I wrote it in my own words. There were few paved roads, and cars were expensive and broke down often. Take a look at numbers 2, 3, and 4. I also found those phrases. I annotated them on a separate piece of paper. So for your lesson today, I want you to look back and see if you found those events and did you annotate those events on a separate sheet of paper? Okay? Read through events 1 through 4 on the graphic organizer and then take a look at the apply it, our exit ticket at the bottom. How does the author organize most of the information in this passage? So how is this organized? You're going to take this back to figure out what text structure was used. And then which sentence illustrates this text structure? So which one of these gives you an option that helps you figure out the clue? If any questions, let me know.